Welcome everyone to episode 2 of the Transatlantic Takedown with me, Derek, and
It's Megan from New York.
where we look at the world of wrestling from both sides of the Atlantic, from indie scenes to the more global product and all things in between. So Megan, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. Well, we are recording this the day before Thanksgiving, so I do have a lot of cooking to do between today and tomorrow. But it's just a day of giving thanks and spending time with family, um, which is every day for me. But it's a
Very, very
lively
important time
time of the
for
year.
you guys, yeah.
Yes.
No, definitely it's an amazing time, and it's so close to Christmas as well, and in the
Yeah.
wrestling world, that's very important time too, of course, where Survivor Series is on the horizon. So we'll get into
Yeah.
that, have a little
Saturday.
preview. But there's so much to unpack. The wrestling world, the news, it just moves so rapidly. It's very difficult to keep up with all of it. And we know this past weekend, of course, AEW Full Gear was
Yes.
was on. And how did you find that overall? Did you watch it live?
Yeah. Well, to be truthfully honest, it wasn't too great of a pay-per-view. They had ups with quite a few matches. Mercedes versus Chris Statlander, Daniel Garcia winning the title against Jack Perry, um, Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White. Then, of course, you had Bobby's pay per view debut against Swerve Strickland, which he
Yeah.
won. And then you had the heavyweight title with Orange Cassidy versus John Moxley. Of course, John Moxley retained, but there was a lot of things that had transpired after the match that kind of give us an idea of where they're going to go next when it comes down to the heavyweight title
Okay.
scene.
Yeah. So overall, did you find it to be an exciting pay per view? I didn't manage to see it myself. Like I've been catching a
Right.
few highlights and things, but just in terms
Oh,
of like the atmosphere and how was that?
I mean, it to me it wasn't their best pay per view, but like I said, there was some highlights throughout it all that
Yeah,
kind of kept you engaged. But they have had better pay-per-views
yeah,
this year. One being Double or Nothing. I thought that was their best pay-per-view this year. But we do have one more pay-per-view, which is World's End, that is on um,
just after
the
Christmas,
20.
I think, isn't it?
Yes, it's
Yeah,
on the 28th in Florida. So we will see where that is. What they have
excellent.
planned for that pay-per-view.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff. I saw a few reports about the AEW and some issues around the Australian event that they have coming up as well next year. We can
Yes.
look at it at another stage, but I think they've been moving, like we spoke about last week. They're just kind of changing venues a little bit to maybe some
Yes.
smaller venues based on ticketing and so on like
Ticket
that. But
sales. Yes.
yeah,
I think it was Russell Votes that I think it was Russell Rhodes that had had announced that AEW's for their all in pay-per-view in Australia, the ticket sales was kind of low, so they decided to go to a smaller venue, which I think the cap is a little above 13,000
okay,
people. So, yeah, they go into a smaller venue, which I think that was the plan for most of AEW's um, house shows or their smaller for to go to smaller venues compared to their pay-per-views, which would be in bigger arenas.
yeah. I think it's a wise move as well. It's a good business decision. I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, that's it. And look, it's hard to believe another Survivor Series is nearly here. I
Yeah.
remember the old days, classic ones before your time, even Megan, when Survivor Series was actually on Thanksgiving Day, but that's going way back.
Mm,
And I remember classic teams like Rude's Brood of Ravishing Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, and Fabulous
okay.
Rougeos, and various different characters like that through time. But it looks to be an exciting one. It's always a well
Yes.
received pay per view, and there was quite a lot happening over the weekend, which kind of tells us, which direction this is kind of going to go.
Yeah.
With Smackdown,
Yes. Well, on this, yeah, SmackDown. It was a
there was
week ago.
a
That
lot happened
yeah,
there.
a lot has happened. So one half of the women's tag team champions, Jade Cargill, she was attacked by a mysterious assailant. Um, it was during um, the the leading up match for who would have the opportunity for the new United States Championship, the
Yeah,
women's United States Championship. It was Bianca Belair, her tag team partner, versus Blair Davenport versus Chelsea Green. Chelsea ended up winning the match.
great to see as
Um,
well.
yes, I was very happy that Chelsea won. But yes, Jade got attacked. No one knows who did the attack. There is some suspects.
If I was to put
One,
you on the spot now, Megan, and ask
yes.
you, who do you think was the attacker?
You know, as I had mentioned on my podcast, there is one thing about Triple H that he likes to do, and that's recycle different storylines.
Mm-hmm.
And from the history of WWE, when people get attacked in the parking lot, it is usually someone close to them, a
Yeah.
friend, a tag team partner. It's usually someone close to them. Um,
So do we think
so
history is about to repeat itself here?
it could.
Yeah.
It could. There's certain things that Bianca is doing that definitely says that she is changing. There's something going on within her that um, is a change within her. But of course,
Yeah.
she's not the only person that they feel could be behind this. They also think that Naomi or Bailey could
Yeah.
be behind the attack because now Bailey is a part of War Games. She is replacing Jade. So,
That's it. I saw some
yeah,
wild reports of maybe Charlotte Flair, but
I thought about that too.
I don't know. I seem to be leaning towards Bianca because I know it's only a matter of time before it's like the mega powers exploding years ago, between Hulk Hogan
Right,
and Macho Man. And I just think this is something that could play out and set us up nicely maybe for WrestleMania 41.
right, right. And, um, it between her and even her husband Montez, like there is something changing within them. Like particularly, he had a match that same night against Champa,
Hmm.
and there was a change in within him as well. So if they write it out that both her and Montez go heel at the same time, I think that would definitely be a really interesting turn of events. As I said, I like when people turn heels when it makes sense.
I somehow feel
Um,
that a heel Bianca would be scary.
yes,
I think all the other
even
ladies need to watch out if that happens. It'll shake things up.
yes, yes, even You could kind of see a little change within Cody, even though he's kind of keeping it at bay. He's controlling himself. But even the build up in his character, you could kind
Hmm.
of see that Cody is
Yeah, and an
he's
interesting fact about Cody, he's not defending his title at Survivor Series either. So
no, no,
maybe
he
that's
is
because Saturday
defending.
night's main event, I think.
That is where he is defending his title against Kevin.
Yeah. And how do we feel
hmm
about CM Punk being the fifth man?
I'm happy. I'm
Yeah,
happy. I think Paul has something up his sleeve.
big time.
I think that there I think that there is a time when Paul needed Roman the most and Roman wasn't there for him,
Hmm.
where CM Punk was.
Yeah,
There was a time when Paul was looking for help from other wrestlers because of the position that he was in with Solo, and either they wasn't able to help him or they wasn't willing to help him due to all of the trauma that Paul and Roman and the bloodline has put them through. So no one was really willing to help Paul
yeah,
except for CM Punk. So for him to um, accept the invitation to be the fifth member tells me that um, Paul might have something he might have to pay CM Punk back for willing to be that fifth member.
that is for
And I
sure.
think Paul is willing to do it.
I do think maybe Seth Rollins has a part to play here somewhere in this. Um, Something massive is going to happen at this Survivor Series. Whatever way we look at it, I think it is a packed card. We have Gunter, of course, as well. He's facing off against Damian Priest.
Damian Priest.
They squared off on Raw this past week as well, and you know Priest came out on top again. Gunter looks really rattled here.
Yes. I think a lot of people want to give Damian Priest credit for that, but I always tell them no, you have to go back a little further. I
Yeah.
think what cracked the foundation in Gunther being dominant was Sami Zayn beating
Mm-hmm.
him for the Intercontinental title. I think that definitely broke Gunther because Sammy is always seen as an underdog. Like he's not necessarily seen as a heavyweight competitor, a heavyweight champion. Um, he's just kind of overlooked. He's underrated.
Yeah.
And for Sammy to win, I think that kind of put Gunther in a mindset that okay, I'm not undefeatable. Like I was defeated by the one guy that I knew I could beat, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't. Um, so I think Damien kind of adds another element to that mindset in Gunther, but you got to give Sammy credit for that. I think Sammy is the one that really kind of put
Yeah.
a halt to his um, streak.
Yeah.
And I
And
think that was what kind of did that for him.
most definitely, and Damien Priest is a real firm fan favorite right now. He's just
Yes,
so over with the crowd. It's difficult to call this one. I personally think Gunter will come out on top. Um,
I think so too. And I think it's going to be some of your home country favorites that is going
my
to
boys.
cause yes, I think they're going to cause Damien the belt. I think Sin and JD is definitely going to cause Damien the belt.
Good old Judgment Day, and
Yes.
they're just hanging by a thread at the minute, I think, as well.
Yeah.
The Judgment Day.
Do
It's
you think Finn is kind of taking a leadership position? Because I thought I saw that on Raw. It seemed like he's what he accused Damien and Rhea of. It seems like he's doing it himself.
I think Finn has leadership. You know, he has qualities there that make a really good leader. Um, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. But I do think Gunter will. You know, I don't think it'll do Damien Priest any harm, even losing this. It
Mm.
won't. You know, like it won't stop his rise by any means. But yeah, I do think Gunter will come out on top. Um, from Raw this week, of course, we saw Sheamus, another one of our Irish friends,
Yeah,
come out and get involved with Ludwig Kaiser and Braun Breaker.
yes.
And we've now set up a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship at Survivor Series. I would love to see Sheamus holding championship gold once again. He is
Mhm.
a phenomenal worker. He's classed as a veteran now, of course, but he's he's doing an amazing job. And even when he came back there from injury, at first he was kind of ridiculed by some fans wrongly. I think calling
Yes.
him instead of banger after banger, burger after burger, about
You
fat
gotta,
shaming
you
him. In,
gotta,
in
you gotta,
fairness,
you gotta blame Drew for that.
yeah,
Drew kind of took that and ran with it at first.
that's right.
But yeah, I mean, he had just gotten married. He was still on his honeymoon. Um, he his last match prior to coming back was Edge's retirement match. So I'm sure that probably affected him in some way. You know, he
Hmm.
just retired a friend of his, and overall just spending time with his new bride.
Yeah,
So yeah, happy weight has a way of catching up with you. When you are in a really good place, but he dropped the weight
oh,
really quickly, and
he's phenomenal. He's just an
yeah, and
amazing guy.
his YouTube channel just reached 1 million subscribers. So
Yeah,
make sure that you check that out. I think the latest video is with Jade
it
Cargill.
is. It is.
Yes.
That should be one
So
to check out. That workout would
yeah.
be amazing. But yeah, love Sheamus, and I really hope he wins this one. I do think the WWE need to look at Braun Breaker. Um, he's he could be an awesome face.
Okay.
The crowd, how they react to him. It's quite difficult. It'll be quite difficult to keep him as a heel. I think with the momentum he has and the crowd following.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but
Okay.
like he's a monster. You know.
Yeah. Well, I might, when it comes down to who I would like to see win, I think we're going to differ in opinions
Hmm.
because I actually want to see Ludwig Kaiser walk away with the title. I think he has um, he has shown or proven that he could stand on his own outside of being uh, Gunther's side,
Hmm.
guy, his right hand man. Um, but out of the three of them, Ludwig is the only one that hasn't held any gold since being there. Um, it would be kind of funny if he was to win gold, but Gunther was to lose his. Like they do that little switch up.
A little bit of tension.
Because Yeah, because I feel like there is some buildup between them two, in their interactions. You can see where Gunther is really telling him, hey, it's time for you to be your own
Yeah.
man. Go on out there and get you some gold. And he took his advice, and that's how he became a part of this match. Um, but you know, Triple H has a way of doing things. So would it surprise me if that's how they play it out? Gunther loses his title to Damian just for Ludwig to earn his first title. It might cause the dynamics between them two to change. Maybe Ludwig would start seeing Gunther as an equal
Yeah.
finally, and probably will learn to stand up to him because it's like you said, there's a Gunther was at a top and now he's starting to come down where Ludwig is kind of climbing up. So
Hmm.
to have them two balanced out at some point might be what
They
needs to
are,
be
yeah.
done.
They're going to clash
Yeah.
at some point, and I could see Gunther even being the face of that, and Ludwig being the heel there. But
Yeah.
it remains to be seen. And we've also got LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
Not much build up to this one, so I can't see Knight losing this.
Right.
And Nakamura hasn't had much of a push in a while, and I believe there was even talks of him perhaps leaving and maybe going back to wrestling in Japan.
Yeah.
Um, so while I think it'll be a decent fight, I can't see LA Knight losing this. Like he's just so popular as well with everybody at the minute.
Right. Um, since this is the last pay-per-view of the year, the next pay-per-view is Royal Rumble, which isn't until February.
Yeah.
Could they cause the great upset with LA Knight losing the title? I have to go with what you say. I don't think they would necessarily do that. I think this was a match um, to kind of add on to the card, but there might be a build up between them two after this match. Like I don't think this is just a one up type of match. Like they will build something from
Hmm.
this match on Saturday. But no, I don't think LA is going to lose the title either.
Yeah. One thing I do love is Shinsuke Nakamura's theme tune. I really do enjoy that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's all the matches that we have for Survivor Series, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um
and it
yeah,
starts. Does it start an hour earlier? I think as well, like Bad Blood
I
did.
think so. Yes. I think that is the plan. So it will be starting at 7 Eastern.
Hmm.
Was that 4 p.m. Pacific? Uh and everybody else know their time zones respectfully.
Makes it a bit easier
Um
for us Irish folks that have to stay up late as well.
yes. Yes. I've said it before. I understand your pain. The top of this year, we had Elimination Chamber, which was 5 in the morning. Um, that was very hard to stay up and watch. I definitely dozed off before the main event. That was hard. That was some
Yeah.
hard hours.
Well, it makes it even more difficult. The likes of AEW with their pay per views, they're like 4 hours long, and even the card there at the weekend for Full Gear. I can't remember how many matches they had, but it's insane because even just the day before they announce one or two more fillers, beforehand, and
Hmm.
it makes it crazy. But another piece of news that I saw was the announcement of the Women's Intercontinental Championship, and a
Yes,
tournament begins this coming Monday on Raw, and that's quite exciting. Like we had the US Championship a couple of weeks ago announced, and now the Women's Intercontinental Championship. It's fantastic for the women's division. What do you think?
yes, yes. We've been asking and begging and praying for mid card titles for the women's division. NXT got the mid card title first with the women's North American title, and now there is a title uh, extra title for the women's division on each brand. Now, I know some people thought it was kind of excessive um, for there to be two mid card titles, but
No.
as I mentioned, there are 30 plus women on the main roster. I don't think it's fair that those 30 plus women should be fighting over one title.
Yeah.
Um, Specifically, if you're not in a tag team, you won't get the tag team gold. If you are not deemed as popular enough, you will not get an opportunity for the women's world championship or the WWE women's championship. So to bring on the women's United States and the intercontinental titles to both brands respectfully, it will give them all an opportunity to hold gold. Um,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. I'm really glad that they went ahead and did it.
I'm delighted to see it, and I'm gonna stick my Irish head up here again and nominate Lyra Valkyria as
Okay.
the first intercontinental champion. Hopefully, I would love to see. I think she's fantastic. And speaking of Lyra, she is making her comeback here to Ireland for
Good.
OTT Over the Top Wrestling on the weekend of the 21st of December. She's appearing
Yes.
and she's competing actually against a former tag team partner of hers, Debbie Keitel. So that's taking place in Dublin on the 21st, I think, yeah, of December. That's going to
Okay.
be a fantastic event. Following on, of course, after we had the Judgment Day back in October appearing for the same promotion, OTT. So this is a massive, massive thing for us. Of course, she did, she wrestled there before and in with RCW and various other promotions here in Ireland. So it's great to see. It would be amazing to see her bringing the championship gold back, like the Judgment Day did with the tag team belts. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of women that I think we could put in that bracket for the Intercontinental Championship. How do you feel
Right.
about it, Megan?
You know, I watched Lyra on NXT. I saw how um, Becky spoke so highly of her and how she really pushed to have the title, which was the NXT Women's title, to drop to Lyra. Um, so there's definitely a lot of respect from Becky, who some see, deem her as one of the greatest. Me being one of them, I think Becky is definitely one of the greatest women's wrestlers, champions.
Yeah,
Um, but that definitely speaks a lot on how she sees her as the future of WWE. So I would not necessarily be upset if Lyra was the one to win the title. um, I know there are a lot of women on Raw that some folks might feel is long overdue for a title, one being Natalia,
yeah,
Zelina Vega, maybe somebody from Pure Fusion, Shayna, or maybe even Zoe or even Sonya. So there's a lot of women that haven't necessarily held a title for a
yeah,
while that they feel would be the right choice as
yeah.
the first championship for that title. So I don't necessarily have anyone in mind um, because I feel equally. I feel like there are a lot of women that do deserve it, but no, I would not oppose to Lyra being the first
Well, I
champion.
think no matter what happens, it's just a really good progressive thing, and it's going to shine even more of a spotlight
Absolutely.
on the women's division, and it's fantastic to see, and long may it continue.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Which I wish there was a little bit more progression with women's wrestling in AEW, but We just keep our fingers crossed and hope that
Well, it's not that they're not there, the female talent. What do you make of this story about Tony Storm retiring? What's that all
I
about?
think it's a storyline.
Yeah.
I think it's kayfabe. I think that she is in character. I
Okay.
don't think Tony is retiring. I think she is just this character. She lost her title to Mariah May. She went to Mexico. She wrestled out there. I don't want to speak out of term. I think it was just Mexico, the CMLL. Um, and she didn't quite do so well out there either. So I just think it's within her character to just speak on retiring. But if anything, I think she's just going on a much needed break.
Mm,
She held the women's title um, for a long time, and
yeah.
she pretty much held up the women's division in AEW for the most part of this year. I would definitely um, put Tony Storm as the MVP for the women's division this year. I think even Pro Wrestling Illustrated named her number one um, for the women's division this year.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a much needed break.
Yeah, look, there's no doubting AEW, the talent that they have, men and women.
Right.
There's just a few other things going on behind the scenes. I think they need to work on, but the talent is there. As
Yes.
you said, Tony Storm, she's right up there all the time. I think in terms of wrestlers under 30 as well, there was a list out, male and female, earlier this week, and
Yes. It was.
because I saw Dominic Mysterio as number one for the males for wrestlers under 30.
Yes.
So that's quite a big thing for him too. Yeah, look, it's we'll see how it develops with Tony Storm, I guess. You
Right.
know, and have you any other news for us, Megan?
Well, there's been, the other Tony of AEW has been in the news a lot this week. But most recently, one of his stars, Ricky Starks, have been pulled from
Yes.
some GCW dates that he was scheduled to appear. One being one that was announced, which is the 14th of December, and two more that we did not know he was going to be a part of, which one of them was going to be here in New York in January, which
Mm-hmm.
I would have definitely tried to attend. Um, Not really sure what was the reason for him being pulled. Some people feel like a GCW wrestler have said something that kind of upset Tony to the point where he just pulled Ricky from those particular shows.
Does
Others
Ricky not like
feel,
attending some of the wrestling events to see some of his friends wrestle?
well, that being one of them, and I think that is uh, a despicable thing to do. I think if your wrestlers want to go and support their friends
He's a
and
fan. He's a
competitive,
wrestling fan. You know.
it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
there's WWE superstars that is backstage at AEW as well. When Mercedes debuted, Trinity and Bailey were there.
I'm sure
When
Rhea
Sting
Ripley and
retired,
Buddy Matthews, they
absolutely.
interact all the time online. Even, I mean, I don't see this kind of thing. I don't understand it. In this
It,
current technological age that we have, everybody on social media following other people, it's not a
It doesn't
secret.
make sense.
So
It doesn't make sense. You have our undisputed champion, Cody Rhodes, his brother is still an active AEW wrestler. Um, and yeah, the fact that you brought up Buddy, there are two members of the House of Black that are married to two WWE superstars. You know, Buddy is married to Rhea, and Malachi is married to Zelina. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Keith Lee is still an active wrestler. I mean, he hasn't been on TV in some months, but his wife, Michin, we see her almost every week. So you have several married couples that work for both brands, and um, there's just a lot of messiness going on
Yeah.
backstage. But you know, we just wish the best for Ricky. And I know he just did an interview with Chris Van Vliet where he spoke pretty openly about the things that's been going on within the last couple of months for him. And you know, we just hope that there is a resolution found between
Yeah.
him and AEW.
Definitely. Tony, you need to sort it out, buddy. You need to get that sorted. Um,
Yeah,
Most definitely. Um, I think that's all we have to cover this week anyway. It's going to be, we know it's a big weekend coming up. It's going to be very exciting with Survivor Series. That's going to take everybody's attention. We're looking forward to a really, really action packed event. Probably a few twists and turns, some big outcomes.
absolutely.
Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, look, all I can say is, Megan, you're getting ready to cook up a storm anyway this weekend. So
Yes, yes, and hopefully the food will still be there for Saturday because I don't intend on cooking for the next few days after tomorrow. So we're going to stretch that food out as much as possible and just tune in for Survivor Series because one thing is for certain, there are going to be a lot of craziness happening that night, and I think WWE is going to take the internet by storm. I could feel it. I could feel it in
yeah,
my soul. Something is going to happen
and let's
at
not
Survivor
forget
Series.
it's the anniversary. Well, it was actually by date last weekend of the dead man making his first on screen appearance for
Yes,
WWE 34 years ago at Survivor Series, and the rest is history, as they say. What a competitor through the years. What a legend.
absolutely, absolutely. Did you get a chance to see the um the behind the scenes of CM Punk's
Yeah,
return?
he's back a year as well. I saw some of the clips of that, and what we were led to believe at the time that there was friction between Randy Orton and himself, and so on. You
Yes,
know, we can actually see. I think Randy said an old Randy Orton would have had a problem with it, but he's just more mellowed now. He's a bit older, a bit more mature.
yeah, absolutely. I think I still remember that time he had just left AEW. People thought he was going to go to WWE. It was absolutely not going to happen. You know, according to some of the big dirt sheet websites, it wasn't going to happen. WWE don't want him. Um, so just to see the show going off, Cody won, the good guys won, his team won, and then his music at the very, very, very end of the show.
Yeah.
Just, you know, I envy those who gets to see that moment for the first time because yeah, last year it was huge. It
Well,
was a
that's it.
very huge moment.
Like Survivor Series historically has been a huge event for
Yeah.
various happenings. You know, the Montreal screw job was another one in '97.
Hmm.
So that's why I think this is going to throw up something big as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm sure they've been planning since last year
Hmm.
how they was going to top it
Maybe The
this
Rock
year.
is going to show up. Who knows?
You know, I speak on the topic of The Rock. His daughter got injured yesterday on NXT.
Mm-hmm.
And Shawn Michaels, I could tell he just was like, oh my God, this man is going to come because he's going to want to know what happened to his daughter and stuff. So if The Rock doesn't show up, which he most likely will, he most
Mm-hmm.
likely will.
Because his movie
I
hasn't done that good.
It hasn't. Oh, well, maybe not the red one. I think that's what
Yeah,
it's called. But Moana 2 is always
that'll be
a
popular. That'll be
favorite.
popular.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a very popular movie. Um, but yeah, we got a couple of people showing up on NXT next week. Not Shawn Michaels. X Pac will be there, and Eric
Nice.
Bischoff will be there.
Wow. Yeah.
Surprisingly, so I would not be surprised if The Rock shows up to see what is going on with his daughter.
What a time to be alive, Megan, in the world of
Yes,
wrestling fandom. Amazing
yes.
stuff. Um,
Mm,
yeah, look, it's been great once again. Episode 2 in the bag, and we'll be back once again very, very soon with lots more views from both sides of the Atlantic on the wrestling world.
yeah.
So, yeah, everybody make sure to enjoy the Thanksgiving and
Thank you.
Survivor Series as well. And make sure to
I
give us a
will.
follow on the socials as well, everyone that's watching.
Yes, absolutely. Follow us on Instagram and please comment, like, subscribe to the channel. We are really um, building a community here,
Hmm.
and we want wrestling fans of all the promotions. Because
Exactly.
this isn't a podcast to bash anyone. We're not marks, as they say.
No.
We just speaking our opinions about different things, and um, yeah, while having fun doing it.
Yeah, and lots of exciting things to come down the road too. So
Yes,
make sure to keep tuning in, guys. And thanks very much once again. And Megan, we'll catch you again soon.
yes, yes,
And
you
happy
will. I will
Thanksgiving.
be here. Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.